Hi everyone, it's Michelle. Welcome back. So today I thought I would come on and do my first impressions of the new Wayne Goss makeup brushes. So I received my brushes this morning and I know people are very curious about them, so I wanted to do this quickly. So again, these are very initial impressions. I did use them today to do my makeup, and I just want to tell you what my first impressions were. So they came this morning. They came beautifully packaged. I am in the US, so I purchased mine from Beautylish. It's the only place you can get them in the US, and they came packaged in a really beautiful, it's a black cardboard tube, and it says Wayne Goss the collection on it. It's really pretty. Inside the tube, the brushes were rolled up in really cute polka dot paper and tied with a bow. So, if you were thinking about ordering this set for someone when it's back in stock, I think it could make a really cute gift the way it's packaged. So, there are 8 brushes. I believe the set was $210, if I'm not mistaken. So that equates to about $26 a brush, which for me is a pretty good deal. If you're thinking about what you pay for a really high quality brush, they're not inexpensive. So I do think these brushes, the price of these brushes is not astronomical in my opinion. So let's take a look at the brushes. There are 8 of them. And I'll run through them quickly, tell you my initial thoughts and how my experience was with them today. And I will say there was no odor to these brushes at all. There was no odor to them. I have not seen one hair shed at all in my cleaning of them and my use of them. So I will say that. It is the first day, but sometimes when you clean them on that first time there is shedding, and I didn't have any of that. So let's look at the brushes. First of all, they have a metal ferrule. It's very nice. Wayne has shown these on his channel, but they have his name hot stamped right here, and then the brush number on this side. This is brush number 1. It's a dual fiber angled brush that is basically a foundation. It's basically your foundation brush, but it can be used for many, many other things. So a quick comparison for you guys. This is the Haku Hodu version of this brush, one of the Haku versions, and this is Wayne's. So much smaller. And that initially was like, I don't know how I'm gonna like that, but I will tell you that the size of this brush is smaller. It's not tiny, but it made it much easier to blend the foundation around the hairline. It gave me more control. I didn't feel like it was getting it all into my hair, which is nice. And it did make it a little easier for buffing things around my nose. So, again, this brush can be used for many things, and Wayne has done a video on that, so I'm not gonna go into it, but it's a lovely little brush. This is not my preference, sort of my preference on how I prefer to apply foundation. I prefer a beauty blender, as most of you know. However, I wanted to use this today and it worked beautifully. I will also say, you see how clean it is? I used this with a liquid foundation today and I spot cleaned it with Perry & Spirit afterwards, just by spraying the Perry & Spirit on a towel and buffing the brush on it, and my brush is clean. So it came very clean very easily, and I used a Guerlain foundation that is quite full coverage, so that is really, really nice. What will I use this brush for mostly? For me, I will use this for cream blush or cream contour products. I think it's going to be amazing. It's dual fiber. I don't know if you can tell. There's some short hairs and long hairs, so you could use it as like a stippling thing too. Loved it. Super soft. I will say that as well. This brush number 2 is a pointed brush. Really, really soft. Like, oh my gosh, so soft. These compare, let's see. Okay, so this is the pointed brush. Wayne suggests using it for highlight, bronzer, powder, blush, all of that, and that's pretty much what I did today. So in comparison, here is my Suqqu Hodo, which is the same type of brush. The Suqqu Hodo is thicker, but they're both really equally as soft. And they're not all that different. Wayne's handles are slightly thinner than the Suqqu Hodus, but very, very nice. The brushes look very similar to me. And I know he's using some Japanese company, who knows, but they're very, very similar. It's a beautiful brush. I used it for doing my bronzer and a little contour blush. I used it to powder my T-zone and set my under eye concealer with powder as well. I will say it worked beautifully for all of those things. The only thing I wanted, and this is just my style, is I wanted for my bronzer this to be just a little bit bigger, but it worked beautifully. It put the bronzer exactly where I wanted it. It you know, just blended it beautifully. It didn't move around my foundation at all. It's so soft. I can't say enough about that. These are every bit as soft as my Chikuhodo or Suqqu brushes. Seriously. I don't see any difference in the quality of the brushes at all. And these are a lot less expensive than those, obviously. Okay, so moving on. Brush number 3. This is really like a blending brush, an eye blending brush, and that's really all I used it for today. It's beautiful. It's a bit pointed at the tip, which makes it nice for blending. If you have a bigger eye, you could use this in your crease. I like a slightly smaller brush for doing my crease work, but this, I blended everything, and it is so, again, I can't say enough about how soft these are. Okay, brush number 4. This is the one I used on my crease. It's a lovely thin crease brush, and these thin crease brushes are really nice if you're working with mature clients, or if you have hooded eyes, or you're working on, you know, Asian eyes, because you can do very precise work with them. This was so soft, again, so I really started buffing around my crease and that kind of thing, and my eyes are very easily irritated. This was beautiful, and Wayne talked in his video about, you know, really using it to sort of bring the color out, and so I did a lot of that, working back and forth to bring the color out on the eye, and these brushes do that. The hairs in these are just perfection. They just grab the product and really, really work well. I will also say this brush, this bigger one, this was the number 03. I blended out my concealer under my eye with this brush and wiped it off on the paper towel, and then used it to blend my eye. It was fine. The concealer came off really, really easily off the brush, and it blended the concealer beautifully under my eyes. And again, no irritation of the skin. This is a really nice brush. Okay, so brush number 5 is an even smaller eye brush, which is really nice. This is great for doing very precise. I used it to do sort of really precise work right out here in the corner. Not that I did anything fancy with my eyes, but that's what I used it for. I took my darkest shade and did some, you know, really added the V there and blended it into my eyeliner, and it works beautifully. Again, really soft. This is much more of a straight cut across the top. Not straight, but it's not pointed really at all. A bit like a long pencil brush, maybe. You could use it similarly. I loved it. It worked beautifully. Okay, brush number 6. This is more like a flat eye brush, you know, more like the laying down of the color brush. And I used this to lay the color on my lid today. This is one of my favorite in the set. So I will compare it to my, this is my Suqqu. Just a minute. Hey, Murph, heel. This is my Suqqu. Actually, I have 2 Suqqus that I wanted to compare it to. So these are the 2 Suqqus, and Wayne's brush is sort of in between them. It's not as big as this one, which makes it nice for keeping the shadow on the lid, and it's a little bigger than this one, so it will allow you to do more than just put the shadow on the lid. It actually laid the shadow down very well, very nicely, and then I kind of blended it out up into the crease a little bit before I added sort of a transition color. Beautiful brush, so soft, and I again get the skin on my eyes gets very irritated very easily. This is so soft. Love it. Okay, there's 2 more brushes. The first one is number 7, which is like a little smudger brush, or you could use it to do really precise work for putting color on the eye. I used it to smudge my liner under my eye after I applied it earlier, and it's really nice for that. It's, again, this is a little bit of a stiffer bristle compared to the other brushes, but it's a smudger brush, so it's meant to be that way. Again, it's very soft, tiny little brush, but that makes it perfect for smudging and doing precise work on your eye, putting color right where you want it. Very nice brush. And the last one I didn't think I was going to like, and Wayne has talked about this brush and how tiny it is, but if you ordered it, I think when you get it you're going to be shocked at how tiny it is. However, this brush is really great. So it's just a teeny push brush, right? The teeniest little push brush ever. I'm trying to think if I have a little push brush sitting here that I can, no, you guys know what the size of a typical push brush is. So this was amazing. You guys know I prefer to use powder liner. I just kind of smudge some eyeshadow into my lash line. This picked up the shadow. I didn't wet my shadow today, and really like worked it in. I don't know if you can see how tightly that shadow is worked into my lash line. So I did it from above and then I did it from below. It really holds the product. I didn't get any fallout, and it just makes it simple to work it in to the base of the lashes to make you look like you have thicker lashes. So if you are liner challenged, or if you're like me and you have some crepiness on your lid, which makes doing eyeliner a bit of a challenge because sometimes it can get, you know, it can get where you don't want it because the skin isn't always where we want it to be, right? This was amazing. Like, I got all the way in, and it was so easy to come all the way to my tear duct, which isn't easy to do. This brush, brilliant. And then I also put the color under my lash line about halfway with this, and then I smudged it with the other brush like this. So the other thing this I think will be amazing for is, and I didn't use it, I didn't think to use it today, is doing like little hairs for your brows, or if you're working on someone who has sparse brows. It's just the right sort of, it's so teeny and thin, you can just like make little hair strokes. This is the other brush that I think, if you're not buying the set, these two, brush number 6 and brush number 8, are must-owns. Must own. Definitely. And then the other one that I really appreciate is the smaller, the number 4, which is the smaller crease brush for doing, to have a crease brush that isn't too big for doing all eyes. So those are my initial impressions. I was able to do my full face with just these brushes. I didn't feel, the only thing I felt like was when I started my bronzer, I wished I had a bigger brush, but it didn't end up needing to be bigger. So I really like them. I think at $26 a brush, they're a good deal. These are really high quality brushes. These are like buying a Suqqu or Chikuhodo brush. They really are. And they're, once Wayne gets his production under control, they'll be available to us. And sometimes the Chikuhodo brushes and the Suqqu brushes are hard for us to get here in the States. So I think these are lovely brushes. Every bit as high quality as my Suqqu and Chikuhodo. I honestly mean that. They're great brushes. I'm very happy that I jumped on the whole set when it was first released so I could have them in my hands. So I'm not sorry I purchased any of them. Those are my initial impressions of the brushes, and in a couple weeks after I've used them and washed them and used them and washed them and that kind of thing over and over again, and after I use them on a couple clients, I will let you know what my sort of final thoughts are on them. But they just out of the box and using them once, they're very nice brushes. I am really happy with them. I did want to just mention quickly that my lips today, I am wearing the, a lot of people wanted to see this lipstick. This is the YSL Rouge Pure Couture lipstick in 09, which is called Rose Stiletto. This is it. Again, this is another color that I really like. It's like a rose, like a deep rose color. Love it, and I think it's a great color for fall. So that's it for today. If you have any questions about the brushes, please feel free to comment below. Also, if you received them, please share your thoughts with us. I'm sure everybody is really curious since people are starting to just get the brushes in their hands. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Thanks.